Hey guys, welcome back to the Ice Project. I've got an old friend in the house, but really looking forward to this one. Roll the intro.
Welcome to the Ice Project. Welcome to the Ice Project.
Waito, what's up?
Not much, mate. Another year rolls through.
But how much has life changed for us?
It has been, crazy when you look back at where it first began and like where you're sitting now, where I'm sitting now. So different, man. It's crazy how quickly things can change.
What were we doing in sort of 2013, 2014 as a group?
I think we were destroying my house weekend by weekend after a Northies and Fusion visit. But it's funny how it's worked out. But we're getting older now. Like we had a good time when we were young, and now we're getting on the other side. We're trying to set up our lives, plan our lives, and get some longevity.
Yeah, I actually don't mind. Like, I'm happily retired and obviously haven't had the career that you had, but like, I love growing older. Like, people say 30 and it's old in football, but I'm happy, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's it. When you're playing footy, you feel old as you get into 30. Like, I see these young guys coming in now, 18, 19, 20, and you go, geez, I'm feeling old. This thing they're talking about, the clothes they're wearing, like,
Who's that band?
like the Bronson Cherries, the Kyle Flanagans before they left, they used to roll in and used to hear their chat and they go, well, I'm a little bit off the pace there, but 30's not old in the big scheme of
Context
things.
of life, isn't it?
It's not real old, but definitely in rugby league terms, you're starting to get to, closer to the end than we were at the start. So
yeah, I was sort of thinking back to like 2013, 14, we're sort of knocking about with 30-year-olds and 31, 32-year-olds, and they never seemed old to me. So,
yeah,
that little crew you knock about with?
Well, I think even though we're in the sheds now and we're saying we feel old towards the young boys, but we still talk and chat, and they wouldn't think that we're old to them either, I don't think, because it's all relative. But it's just, experience and, we've been there, sort of done that, and you just go over it and go, oh, man, I remember the days when we were doing that. And they seem a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago, but it does seem a while ago that we were doing it.
I'd say we're just talking about it off here. One thing we do miss is sort of being able to back up after having a beer. Bro, I'm fucking dead to a Wednesday if I have a beer on a Friday now. I'm fucking hurting, bro.
It's tough. Like if I go out, like say we're away with the boys and we have a drink after the game, and then you travel back home, and then normally, Uber Eats, sit on the couch, no dramas, but it wasn't even Uber Eats then. You just grab some food on the way home, and now I get home and I let the young bloke jumping all over me want to play. So the missus is into me going, oh, well, if you didn't sleep last night, that's your fault. It's your turn to look after the boy now. So, but it's all good fun. We have a great time, and yeah, it's just the way of life.
Footy season rolling back around, pretty exciting. I know you're a bit of a footy head, great league IQ, play the game really, really well. What did you learn from the Indigenous camp? How was that?
It's a big week, the Indigenous round. This is the first time I got to experience the Aboriginal versus Māoris game. It was good. I think the celebration of both cultures together, both First Nations people, it was really good how it was integrated. Before, when it was just the Indigenous team and then the world team.
NRL All-Stars or some shit like that.
It was just a different feel. And, we did this thing at Dreamworld where we had, cultural experience from both sides. They come down and it integrated, and it was mate, so much respect between the two cultures. It was wonderful to be a part of, but it is a busy week. This time of year heading into the season is already busy as it is. So it was pretty cool to play in, and it was wonderful to be a part of that. The whole week in the community, you do so much, and you meet so many people, but it's good to be back home now and really gearing up to another season. Like this is, most of the work's done now. It's just sort of fine-tuning a few things, heading into the last trial match, and away we go. The marathon begins.
What's Josh Adicard like to hang around with? He looks so much fun, bro.
He's very similar to Chico, actually. He's just always energy. You can't seem to pull him down. He's always happy, always on the go. And then he just, whatever's happening, he'll latch onto it, and then away he goes with it. So, they're the type of characters that, make footy fun and team sports fun is just hanging around guys like that.
Fergie Ferg?
Yeah, well, those two together, talk about latching on, mate. It's non-stop. And it's funny, those two guys, it doesn't matter where I've seen them, whether it's, at Clubland or with Origin or in Test Footy Australia camp, they're always the same, mate. Once them two boys get together, it's just away they go.
Do you know what I liked about, and you'll probably understand this because you've been around the game a lot longer than I have, even though you're younger than me, the evolution of like players being able to be themselves now. So if you think about, like, I looked at Hectic Cheese, like he's called Hectic Cheese now, I seen a speech after the thing, and imagine if that sort of happened maybe 10 years ago. Like, I know all the older boys are trying to put you back in line, like, oh, he hasn't even played 100 games yet, like let's pull him back in line. But I feel like everyone can be themselves now. And probably with Josh Adokar and Fergie Ferg the most, like that whole camp leading up to it is so exciting because them boys are just, you're getting an insight on what it's actually like to be in a football locker room. Like there's clowns in the team, there's guys that are serious, but not everyone's fucking serious all the time.
Yeah, I think it's just more access probably to people to seeing inside the world. Like obviously with social media and the amount of content that goes out from teams, you are starting to see a lot of the personality of players out in the media, where areas before when we first come through, like access to players was very limited. It was through the club. Like you very, very rarely would, a player like me now come, I know you, but come onto a podcast on my own and speak on my own terms and, be myself. Before you only had access through the clubs. If someone wanted to do an interview with me,
had to go media, manager.
Through the club, through the manager. And then once the player even got in front of the camera, it'd all be just yes, no, just a straight bat to everything because you were too afraid to step out of line or you didn't want to tread on anyone's toes or you just wanted to do the right thing. But now with, the biggest thing is the growth of social media. You have access to people all the time. I think you get more and more content into what people, all players are really like, not just in rugby league, in all sports. You see what people are really like, not just sports either, in all sorts of,
look at us, like
comedians, you're just seeing that everyday life, more and more access to people. And then once you sort of get over that hurdle, everyone's just comfortable to be themselves now.
I think the biggest transition I've seen was probably Paul Gallen. Like it was his last year, and he was active on Instagram. Probably not the best content all the time. I think just having a gauge of how far the phone was to his face and stuff. Yeah. Like, but it was good to see. And someone like he's an old head, he's a tough head. You know what I mean? And for him to embrace that, I don't know, it gives confidence for all the younger blokes.
Yeah, well, I think that's the beauty of social media. Obviously, there's a lot of pitfalls with it, but there's been a lot of gains from it too. Mostly from an outsider looking in, just access to people that they want to have access to. You get to follow who you want. You get to have more insight into who you want, and then you can just not even bother with the people you don't want to. So that has been one good thing that social media has brought about.
The game on the weekend, how was it?
It was tough. It was a tough opening game. It was fast. I liked the way the refs refereed it. There was very little penalties, very little stoppages. If it wasn't for the unlimited interchange, it kept some players, a lot fresher than they would have been in an NRL game.
Did you like that unlimited interchange thing?
Well, for the first game of the year, I think you need to because the intensity of the game was right up there, and it was only the first game of the year. So if you didn't have that, it probably would have deteriorated the game in either injuries or it just would have been too open. Like it would have been just breaks everywhere, and the fans probably would have liked it because it would have been exciting. But that's a very intense game to kick the year off. So it holds players in good stead if you get a game under your belt. But I liked the way it was refereed. No penalty, very little penalties, and it just flowed. It felt like it flowed better. I don't know how I was watching, but it just felt like the game flowed better.
I think as a fan, just as a spectacle, fuck, it was great to watch. Like obviously all the pre-game huckers and all that sort of stuff as well. But the game was like, because once you start playing for pride, and like you think of trial matches, you think of nines. What do you think when you go into nines? I hope no one gets injured.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If you win, you win. That's great. But hope no one gets injured. Trials, you're kind of like, fuck, I just kind of want to get through. But when you start playing for like culture and your pride and your family, like all that, you don't think about getting injured.
No, you're thinking about the game and playing well and representing and, not letting anyone down. And it's actually a proper game of footy and there's meaning to it. So yeah, it was a tough game to start this year with, but it was good. It was brilliant to be a part of.
What do you reckon they could incorporate from that game in terms of refereeing into NRL?
It's a tough one. Obviously, there's more structure throughout the weeks and there's more coaching that goes in the team because, you're together for so long. But I think the less penalties in the game for me, the better. You need to penalise foul play. You need to penalise, repeated infringements. But to the point where you need to game the flow, and it's tough. It's always tough. No two games are the same, and it's a hard job to referee. But I think the less penalties in the game, let the game sort itself out. The first 10, 15, 20 minutes, let the game sort itself out and then go from there. But so that's the only thing that it felt really good in the All-Stars games because there was a flow to it. It was a game, it was end to end. You sort of knew, well, that was a penalty because it's so different to everything else. So it had to be a penalty. Or that was foul play, so that's obviously a penalty. But
I feel like I think you said it just before we jumped on, but I think that's the way to do it. Like let the game sort itself out, and then it becomes like a momentum, and you can see the flow. Yeah. And once the flow gets fucked up through like trying to hold down too long, like a penalty in the first set shouldn't happen. It's almost like playing backyard cricket. You can't get out on the first ball.
Well, it's foul play is foul play. You always know what that is.
Yeah.
And then it's the stuff where you go, oh well. yeah,
We half a foot offside. Who gives a fuck? Yeah.
It's tough, but because the rules are the rules. So if you break the rules, it's a penalty to the other team. But it builds momentum and it kills momentum in such a big way in a game. Like just one penalty, like you could flow for 15 minutes back end, and then all of a sudden a team gets a penalty coming out of yardage and just ruins the whole momentum built for the last 15, 20 minutes. So too many in a game, it just never gets to feel like a proper game. It's just always, the decision is gave the other team or our team the advantage, not the play. It's the decisions made the other team gain upper hand or lose it. But it's a tough job, man. They're never going to win. Like, you're sitting on the Cronulla side of the fence, you're going, well, that should have been a penalty. If you're sitting on the other side of the fence, you go, well, that shouldn't have been a penalty. They're never going to win. It's such a hard decision.
What do you think of coming into a captain? What do you think of the no sort of bunkers with the nines and that? Did you enjoy? Obviously, it's a different concept, different format of a game, but did you enjoy that or?
Oh well, with the captain's challenge coming out, and trolling, I don't mind the captain's challenge, but I think they should scrap the bunker altogether. The referees should just make the decision that they feel, and then the captain can challenge it, which sends it to the bunker.
How many challenges did the captain get?
I'd say 2.
2.5.
No, I'd just say 2 for the whole game. And then if he gets it right, he gets to keep them. And then if he doesn't get it right, well, he loses them, and then it's up to because we got to expect the refs to get the right decisions. Like they're paid to do that job, but then you got to understand they're going to make mistakes as well. So that falls onto the captain and the team to communicate that. Well, I think there's a mistake here. Let's send it upstairs, and then you bring the bunker in. Like the bunker's gone until the challenge is brought up, and then something like the NFL, maybe in the last 10 minutes of every game, every decision's checked or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, even last 10 minutes of the game, but even like score lines, like if it's blowing out, it's blowing. Oh, then points differential comes into it later in the year.
It's like in how's it going in the NFL? I think it's like in the last 2 minutes of
everything's reviewed.
Everything's reviewed. But I just think if you're going to bring in the challenge, let's scrap the bunker and let's use the bunker exclusively for when there's a challenge.
I agree.
And then the refs can make their decision. They can just go through the game. They can make their calls, make their decisions. Sweet. If I have a problem with it as a captain, I can go, well, I don't think that was right. Let's check it. If I get it right, I get it right. If not, well, the ref's in the right.
Yeah, I think you're fucking spot on here. I think Matty John sort of touched on that as well. Something very similar.
It's funny. Me and Matty actually had a good chat. We had the Fox League season media launch the other day, and we had a chat about it, and we were on the same wavelength thinking. So I think there's definitely when the NRL did the research last year about what the fans would like to see, the captain's challenge is one of the most popular things that fans like to see. So there's definitely an avenue there to implement it, but it's just how do we implement it into a game correctly and how do we get it right so we don't look at it go in 12 months' time, 18 months' time and go, oh, well, that was a shit decision. Like you got to make sure we implement it right.
Yeah.
And
because at the moment, with the inclusion of a more penalised game, you sort of touched on the Sharks got penalised 18 times in their trial or in that game, plus the captain's challenge, plus bunkers. It's just slowing the game right down, 100%. Isn't it?
That's why I think if we take the bunker completely out, the game flows. The only time you go to the video is if a captain challenges. And it's 2 for each captain, don't forget. So there's 4 a game. And then if you're going to go, say, something like the last 10 minutes of each half or the last 5 minutes
everything's
of the game,
checked.
Everything's checked. There's going to be enough stoppages there. And then hopefully, in a perfect world, the decisions are all right and the captains are all on board with it and just the whole game goes.
See, as someone who watches a lot of sports, like rugby, I'm not bagging rugby too. People coming at me last podcast were bagging rugby. But when you're a pure leaguey and you watch rugby, you're like, fuck, there's so much stoppages. And they're big on like set pieces and like, fuck, let's just win this scrum and line out. But as a league, you want to see flow. And
well, the thing with rugby that always gets me is, an infringement happens and they continue on for another, how many plays, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 plays, and then they bring it back for something that happened ages ago. Like it's getting too much. Like you play the advantage, fair enough, but how far is enough? Like in league, if you don't make the decision on the spot, well then that's gone. Like you're on to the next play. You can't go back 2 plays. Like it's done.
All right, so someone good footy brain. The new rules coming in.
Which ones?
We'll start with scrum. We'll start with scrum.
I don't mind the scrums.
Fucking shit if you're dean up though. It's the worst place to dean up from.
I think for the scrums, but what you'll see is, defensively, especially defending your own line, teams will just break early. So I think there could be a possibility to look at getting rid of the differential. So because if teams are going to break early, well, sweet, we'll just kick for goal then and get 2 points. But if you break early and give a penalty away, most teams will just go, well, we'll just defend with a set line from the same spot, really. So that's something we probably need to look at, maybe, possibly.
Strategy wise, defending, how are you then at? I've seen the back rower. So you're a back rower. You're at halfback now, so you can just fold straight into the line.
Yeah, you can do that. There's a number of ways to do it. It just depends on your personnel. Like if you have a big back rower with not great leg speed, he might not want to defend at 7. He might want to be in the scrum. And then if you have a middle like a Victor Radley, say with great leg speed, we can get him out, get him in the defensive line, whatever. So each team will be different. It'll be. I think the first, 5 rounds this year, you'll really see different ways each different team does it, and then, the NRL that the teams.
It's copy and paste, isn't it?
The way the NRL works is whoever's doing it the best. By round 6, every team will be running out the way the best team does it.
So everyone will be watching Melbourne, won't they? Like, what are they doing round 2?
Well, I like it. It opens up the game, right? And
what about Jack White and about the yards he was making?
Mate, he's so big.
Hey, good super coach. Like, he's a big. Is he bigger than you?
Way bigger than me. He's way bigger than me.
People don't realise that.
He's probably 104, 105 kilos, and it like hitting his table. He's a big. He just spent a week with him last week. He's in really good shape to not even like equal what he did last year. Just
be better.
Go to the next level and be better. He's got that. Not only has he, we've always known he's a good player and he had a good season last year, but he has that confidence now. Like we're at training, he's telling me what to do in defence. He's telling players what to do, so he has that confidence now to just demand stuff, and you just go, well, here we go. He's gonna be special this year.
He kicks really well. Why do lefties kick the ball better than righties? I don't get it,
It does look more natural. I reckon.
It does, yeah.
Not just like in AFL, it looks more natural, but not just kicking. Like I reckon a golf swing, a tennis swing, lefties just look like they do it more natural in anything. Goofy when you're snowboarding or surfing, they just look.
Just cooler, isn't it? Is it just because it's different? I don't know. But you look at Lockout, like Normie's got a big left boot. You've got a big boot. He's got a big boot.
I don't know.
It's weird. I was just thinking of that just then. All right, Cronulla, the boys from the Shire. How you boys going to go this year? What's going to be different from last year?
Well, it's a real.
Actually, what's going to be like being the captain for? I reckon you got the most vice captain appearances ever.
Probably was the captain 100 games. Gow retired at 33 like everyone else. No. It's, to be honest, not much has changed. It is the end of an era. With Gow's finishing up, he's goes down as probably the greatest shark he'd ever play for the club. So it's a big personality to fill. We do have a couple of young guys ready to go who probably would have played a lot more first grade games. They've just been waiting in the wings. Jack Williams, Billy Magoulias. These are guys who can play 80 minutes in the middle, no dramas.
Who's that rapid middle that you guys, is that the Jack Williams? Is he real quick?
Yeah, he's fast.
He got a few line breaks last year, right?
He's quick, mate. He's a good player, and he's been ready to go for a while.
That's not a bad thing, though, in hindsight.
He's a middle forward too, so it always takes a bit longer to get not just ready for 1-2 games. The trick is being able to play 26 or 24, whatever it is, but he's good, and we're moving out of home for Shark Park for 2 seasons while they do all the renovations at the club. Yeah, so we're playing at Oakey, our Net Strata Jubilee it is, for our home games, and then we have a few other games away, one on the sunny coast. I think there's one, where's the other one? I think there's another one in New Zealand possibly. So,
I didn't realise that.
Yeah, but you see it a fair bit.
It's not too far, is it?
Well, you see it a fair bit now. Like, so the Roosters are playing at SCG because Allianz are getting upgraded. Parramatta was playing at ANZ, and now they got Bank West. So it happens. I think, it's just renovations. So the club's getting fixed, and all the members and fans, although there's a little bit of pain now, we don't get to play at Shark Park. Everyone loves that. They got to look at the big picture. In a couple of seasons, they come home to a brand new home stadium.
Your boys went really good last. A lot of players went really, really well. But I think the key with your Cronulla is Sean Johnson. How's he sort of shaping up this year?
Yeah, he's had a good pre-season. He hasn't missed much training. Come back early, the training from the test matches, and he's always going to be better this year for last year. It's always hard transitioning to a new club, especially someone like him. The expectations on his shoulder. So even though, if he...
Very different clubs, Cronulla and Warriors, he's got real fucking grindy sort of that mentality, eh?
Yeah, I think even if he shot the lights out last year, he still would have been better for the run for this year.
Yep.
So he's a year in now. He's built relationships. He's much more comfortable in the area.
Such a nice guy, eh, Sean?
He's a good guy.
He's coming on next week too.
His missus just fallen pregnant.
Yeah, straighten him back up.
Settling in, so... he's going good, and we got a good team. Last year we just struggled with injuries. We couldn't get our best 17 out in the field consistently, and then every time we did, and we'd have a good game, we just let ourselves down. We couldn't capitalise. We couldn't win 3 in a row. So we just couldn't.
I feel like that's always Cronulla. Like,
just couldn't miss. We just missed the mark like every time last year by a little bit. So hopefully we've learned a lot from that, and our young guys will be better for the run. Like we had 7 debuts last year, so that's a lot of inexperience amongst the experience, but they'll all be better for the run. And yeah, mate. Well, we're all feeling positive now. It's the start of the season.
yeah, that's everyone saying that.
I'll come back on in 2 months and we'll see how we're going.
Big old Jesse Ramian back in the league. He's a great kid, great player. Seen him on the weekend. Sort of, I think got like 14, 15 tackle busts.
Yeah,
he'd be ready to go, wouldn't
it's
he?
good to have Jesse back. He was one we were really disappointed with that when we lost him. We understood why. He had a young daughter up in Gosford, so he was moving up to Newcastle to play up there, and obviously live closer to her. And it was a funny one. How Jess didn't work out at the Knights. Like, I don't think that's a bad reflection on either Jesse or the Knights. It's just one of those things that happens sometimes in the game. You just don't quite fit, or one thing goes wrong and just snowballs. But
their shape all goes left, bro. That's why.
We're certainly great. Like, we're stoked to have him back, and so he'll be over there on the right with Shawnee and young Britt Nakora. So that's a young edge over there.
Good edge
so hopefully those boys will be in the black, white, and blue for another 10 years, mate.
Yeah, it'd be good. So let's talk about how do you upbringing like. How did you get into playing football? Fucking debuted pretty young. I was looking at your stats. I was like, I feel like you're older than me, but you're fucking like 2-3 years younger than me. You've been around for fucking ever, bro.
Well, it was a pretty standard upbringing. I grew up in Western Sydney, Blacktown, and played rugby league as a 6-year-old, like a majority of, mostly everyone I knew. Played rugby league at some point. I had a great childhood, like great parents, reliable, 3 sisters, always active, always out playing sport. And that was pretty much it.
You had a big name coming through as well. Was that sort of hard to deal with, or just normal?
It sort of just all happened really quick because I was just a kid playing at Blacktown City, and then I don't know what happened. I got picked to come and trial we never had Harold match trials in Penrith. You get picked to come and train in the development squad. And I got picked, and I was a year young, and I was the only kid from Blacktown, so I really didn't know too many people. So I was just like, I'll go up there and I'll train. And at that stage, I didn't really take footy all that serious. It was just something I did with my mates. I was only, I would have been 14, so I just started high school a couple of years earlier. I wasn't taking it all that serious, and then we went to Harold match training, the development squad, and then I think every 4 or 5 weeks he used to cut the squad. And so, okay, well, you cut the squad, you get some more gear, and you keep coming to training. So, I made the first cut, and I was like, okay. Then I got the Christmas, and they go, you can come back after Christmas. So I made the second cut, and then, after Christmas, I come back, had a trial match, and go, you're in the team for the year. So that was where it all really started. So that was me playing Harold Mats up a year, and then I was like, by that stage, it was my first pre-season, so we were training hard, and I was like, don't mind this sort of stuff, and playing footy, you get to wear the Penrith gear, not the Blacktown gear, with all the older boys. So I was like, I like this. So then I played Harold Mats. The next year played Harold Mats my own age. The next year played SG Ball up an age and played Jersey Flag, which was the 20s. And then the following year played SG Ball 20s and first grade in the space of 8 weeks. So it all just went
boom.
All just happened. And it's funny that sport is just sometimes about opportunity, timing, right place, right time. Craig Gower and Peter Wallace had just left the club. I think the Penrith first grade team was struggling. And we had a red hot under 20s team. We were winning games by 50, 60 points. And then, because I was a part of that team, there was already Michael Jennings, Joey Paulo, ASADA. They were all playing in first grade. It was just may as well throw the kid up there too. So
I remember your debut, and I remember just a bit. It was in the they had a camera in your locker room. You're chewing gum and that, just cruising around. It's just the ignorance of being a 17-year-old too.
I look back now, and if a 17-year-old comes up and trains with us, I go, mate, this guy's a kid. He's a kid. He maybe a couple of years, but back then, and you don't feel it sort of perspective. I was ready to go back then. I was like, this is the best ever. How good! I do remember getting really nervous right before the kickoff, the 2-minute bell went.
You don't really hear that, eh? And other things.
2-minute bell went, and you go shake everyone's hand, and then I went bang, Paul Tour, bang, Petro. I was like, fuck, what am I doing here, man? I'm in the wrong place. I'm about to run out here with these guys. Reece West at fullback. These are all guys I watched in the grand final in 03. I was a Penrith diehard fan growing up. I remember sitting on the hill watching these guys, Presto, West, Luke Lewis, all these guys, and then all of a sudden I'm here, I'm going, oh, Jesus, we're on here. But no, it was good. And then It all went from there, pretty much.
It's different when you actually play the game with them, eh? Like, I know you get to train with them and stuff like that. I remember my debut, like I had like Stacey Jones as my halfback and Money Vatifai, and I was just sitting there, and it was pretty much the same scenario as you. Like, just right before it, I was like, "What the fuck? What am I doing here?"
Yeah.
Even though you know him, like, hey, bro, what's up? Like, it's just different.
So the only one time in my career where I really felt like in awe of the player I was playing against was like, was Darren Lockyer. I played Darren Lockyer even my second and third year. He was the only one when I was playing. I was like, oh man, I'm playing Darren Lockyer. Like everyone else was just, it was footy. It was like as I got a bit more experience, a bit more confident, it was always just footy. But for some reason, every time I played Darren Lockyer, I was like, oh, that's Darren Lockyer. Like,
was he your guy? Was he?
No, well, just playing against him, I just remember like he's the only one that's ever happened to me against like my whole career. It was very early on in my career, but even after I'd played a couple of years, even when I kept playing against him, I was like, damn, I'm playing against Darren Lockyer. Like, have to pinch myself.
What did you do with your first matchy?
Probably spent at the fiddler, man. shout to mates out there. Nah.
You knock about out there, don't you?
Good little joint. Move a Renault lately, goes all right.
Hey, if you grew up in Western Sydney, you know what I mean, fiddler is, that's for sure. I was pretty good. I was living at home with mum and dad, so my first year I played 8 games straight and then I got hurt. So I tore my medial, so I was out for the year.
You come back in our 20s against us,
Yeah, I
eh?
did.
Over Warriors.
That was my first game back and we lost. And that was pretty much, we almost had our full-strength team
Yeah.
in the 20s. Like, so there was guys, myself, Lachlan Coote, Willie Isa.
I remember we playing you and you come back and I'm like, fuck, we're going to like, because I always heard about Penrith 20s and stuff, and I was like, fuck, and they'd pumped us the 2 games before and like, fuck, we're going to lose there. And then we end up being like, actually pumped yous. Yeah. And I was like, we're going to win this thing, and then he knocked out next week.
So that was my first game back. But I do remember that went to New Zealand.
I remember a kick that you've done, and it's a kick that you've sort of built your career off. It's sort of right down that sort of like a 7-3 split down the blind, left foot, bang. And I remember you like doing kick pressure on you, and you still pulled it in. It's like it's one of your like specialties, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, the scrums into the centre of the field now might change that, because you're kicking for touch and you used to just, walk down to the scrum, set your D line up and you go again. But now if the team flips it to the middle and they put you under pressure off the scrum break, it might not be an advantage to take a scrum no more. It might just be kick to the corner and defend. So it could.
How many scrums are going to be in the middle of the field this year? Would you say 90% of them?
I'd say 90%. And if they're not there, they'd be on the 10-metre line instead of the 20.
So you can have them on the 10 as well?
The 10, the 20 or the...
No one's putting them on the 10, are they?
Well, I reckon, because then you get a full 6-on-6. So, and you get more space. And instead of trying to do everyone on the same side from the 20, you just open it up, you get that extra 10 metres. So I'd say 90% would be from the middle, and then if there's going to change, it'll be from the very edge.
All right, so back to Penrith. So you rolled into like sort of 22 games the next year or something like that?
Yeah. So I played 22 the next year. And by the end of that was my first full year, and I was only 18, so I was battered by the end of the year. I remember, my body just wasn't ready for the week in, week out grind. But as you do when you're young, you're right. You just keep playing. Yeah, you're living your dream, so you just keep going. But by the end of that year, my body was battered. I was a very sore 18-year-old.
What was the weekend habits like after a game too? Probably wouldn't have helped, wouldn't it?
No. To be fair, I don't think I was too bad. Like, not back then. I wasn't too bad. I was too focused on just playing footy. Like, that's all I wanted to do, was just play footy well. And like when you first start out, you're just hanging on like each week.
You're sort of playing well enough just to get picked again the next week.
That's it.
Yeah,
just like I was still going to the coach next week. I'm in the team this week. I'm in the team this week. Like, you're never guaranteed nothing, so you're working hard just to play. And I think that year we possibly made the finals, or we lost. We lost our last game against Newcastle maybe, and we missed out on the finals. So that was my first full year, and then I had actually had a shoulder injury at the end of the year, and we let it go. I'm young, no dramas, be sweet, and then come back, roll around preseason, have a great preseason. Then in the first trial match against Parramatta, tackle Fui, and I broke my collarbone from AAC. So
that'll do it.
This is actually like, the injury was half the reason I had to leave Penrith in the first place. So at that time, there was a lot of us kids come through. We'd all played grade together. Like I said it before, Janko, Lockie Coote, myself, Joey Paulo, Sam McKendry, Timmy Grant. Like, these are all guys who are on base contracts who all come through and have, they've played 20, 30 games. They're ready to be upgraded all at the same time. So the club had to make some decisions on some players, and then at that stage, I'd just come back from shoulder surgery. The boys are flying. Luke Walsh and Travis Burns were the half, and I think they'll win. They'll come in second. They'll fly.
I remember that. Yeah.
Remember that year we scored like it must have been.
Flashes on the wing, eh?
Yeah, remember Walsh was just putting bombs up, and then all our chase would run through and just score off kicks every game, and we'll win. And the boys are flying. So during that time, even when I came back from injury, I played a couple of games of reserve grade for Windsor. And then the club had just made a decision that there wasn't room for me anymore.
Oh, I didn't realise that. I thought you left on your own sort of accord.
Nah, the club made some decisions out of, someone had to give out
Idiots.
of all the players.
You guys fucked up.
Out of all the players, someone had to give. They couldn't sign everyone.
Yeah.
And then, it just worked out because there was a couple of big names off contract too. I think Frankie Pritchard was off contract.
Did he go Dogs then or?
So he went Dogs, after. That was when he left. So I went to the Sharks, he went to the Dogs, and they pretty much re-signed everyone else. So that was the free up. So that's how it all eventuated pretty much there. And then I ended up going to Cronulla. And I've been there ever since.
Did you see
this is my 11 I went there was my first season. So
So what did you debut? 8.
Oh, 8. So I played 3 seasons.
So it's like your 12th year of first grade. 12, 13.
Yeah, 08 to now. Yeah,
Shit. Fucking bro. Obviously going to Cronulla, probably couldn't land in probably a better spot.
I was almost going to go to the Cowboys.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why there?
Well, the big interest was from Cronulla and Cowboys, and at that stage I was still playing the halves. So the big draw was to go up there and play outside JT. JT was flying. I think he probably just won his second or third Dally M.
Yeah.
he won one of them, so he was fine. And then the opportunity was to go up to North Queensland. But at that stage I was still living at home with mum and dad. I still probably hadn't quite gotten over the decision that I was leaving Penrith because I was such a Penrith diehard. I wanted to spend my whole career there, so it probably hadn't sunk in yet that I was leaving home. And I just thought something in me was just saying, moving to North Queensland this time, living at home for the first time, all the change is probably just not the best thing. So I ended up, my gut told me to go to Cronulla. And that's how I went. I didn't even move to Cronulla for the first year. I still travelled from mum and dad, stayed at mum and dad's.
That's a long way, man.
Yeah, so I travelled every day just because I was unsure about a new club and it just hadn't really sunk in yet. And then had that whole first season. It wasn't until after the first season that I moved, and I still didn't move to Cronulla. I moved to Maroubra with one of my mates, and I lived there for 12 months. And then that's when I've started transitioning over to to the Cronulla way. And now they can.
You don't leave, bro. No, you don't leave.
Now they'll probably never get rid of me.
So what was it like going to Cronulla?
It was good. It was a change. I think being a Penrith junior, all I ever knew was Penrith, the Penrith way, the Penrith players. And I was always, probably viewed as a Penrith junior coming through. He's always going to play first grade, a junior coming through. We've had our eye on him for a long time, and even when I came into first grade, he's a Penrith junior. He's one of our juniors. But then when I went to Cronulla, he was like, all right, he's a first grader we've recruited over. So you just
different feeling, eh? Yeah.
The perspective of how you're viewed is a little bit different. So we brought this guy to come in to play first grade to help us do a job. So. I don't know if it was, that was just my perception or...
I remember you were in the 7 jersey in Taupo against the Warriors,
Yeah,
bro. You looked huge, bro. You looked huge.
I played half a year. I played a full season in the halves. And then next year we signed Toddy. And me and Toddy started in the halves together. And then we couldn't work together. So that was when the transition to the back row began.
So you've been there ever since, probably changed the position a little bit. I know a lot of people try to mirror themselves off you. Obviously it would have been help playing 5A, but how do you see the back row position or how you play it different to other people?
Well, I tend to play like a second 5'8" almost. I have my eyes out. I do a lot of the talking into my halves over the years, whether it was like Chatty or Jeff Robson or Jimmy. Like Jimmy was wonderful to play with because it'd be almost whoever got the chat in first got the play on. If he had the eyes up and he called something, I'd do what he said. But then if I had the eyes up and I called something, he'd do what I'd say. And
he's so easy to play with, Jimmy. I played with him.
He's just a footy player. But Robbo was great too. I've always sort of just kept my eyes up the way I used to play as a half because I'm really only one position over. And then I still got the left foot and I still got the pass. I probably don't. The biggest thing I find is I need to keep the balance. Sometimes I pass too much or I kick too much, and I forget that I've got to get back there and get the tough carries out of yardage. Like sometimes that's my review of my game. Am I passing too much? Am I playing to other players too much? And I'm not running enough.
What's the right ratio if you have to put a number on it?
Well, it's hard. It depends who you're playing. It depends. Depends how I'm. So last year when I come back from my knee, right, I passed a lot on purpose. I was coming back. I was finding my way back in. So it was more of a avenue to
Helps when Bronson Cherry scoring tries too. You're like, oh shit, I'm not passing enough here.
That was just I used to get in before the game. So mate, you're gonna have 25 carries this game. So because you're gonna have more 20, and then you're gonna have 5 of mine.
Yeah.
But, I suppose that comes with experience too. You learn how to get away, get around the footy field more efficiently. And coming back from a Rico, that was like, I'll just ease my way back in and do what I got to do. But now I feel good. Like another preseason, that's a big focus.
Do you know what I feel like your biggest strength lies, Wado? Like obviously, I've said IQ before. I don't really say that lightly about football players because it's usually credited towards halves. But your adaptability into teams, like you can adjust your style of play to the players around you. And I feel like that's your biggest strength. And like when I look at Cronulla and the sort of teams that you had and sort of the centre pairings that you had in, but also like the halves, like your style can just change because what you can do in that sort of left edge of the field, like you can sort of do everything. You can throw long, you can throw short, you can throw out the back, you can run a line, and you can just strip three. And you've got the kick as well. I feel like that's where your weight and gold is because it's hard to put kick pressure on the Sharkies because then they just have 2 halves and 2 pass out and kick that way, eh? So is that something you've worked on or is that just sort of something that comes naturally to you or what?
Yeah, I think when I play, I always want to play the game. Like, I don't want to go through the set pieces or the structure for this and this. Like if I see something, I want to take that all the time. And that's another thing where, if I'm playing bad, I'm probably taking that too much risk and not enough percentage.
Yeah, Chico said that when he played hooker with you boys.
Yeah, Gals.
Calling the ball all the time.
Gals are, they always just get into me and go, mate, it's either like it's all or nothing with you. I say, yeah, but like if it's all, it's just good for the team. But if it's nothing, yeah, we're under pressure. I understand. But that's the thing where I've got to check myself as well. But I like to play the game. Like I still love to play the game, and then I don't really go into the game with much plans in my head. Like obviously, I know who I'm playing with, and I know what their strengths are. And you play in the league long enough, you get to know the guys you're playing against pretty much regularly year in, year out.
You're just playing edge on edge, aren't you?
And these guys, there's guys I played probably 10, 15 times against and 10 times with in other teams. So it's just you just work it out as you get on. And now I just sort of go into a game, make sure I'm like prepared to play, and then I just wait to see what happens during the game and then make the adjustments when you need to make it and talk to my centre, talk to my half. And
that's smart because you see like a lot of back rows and they're sort of fixated on say like a Ryan Hoffman. He just built a career off running a fucking great line, but you can just sort of adapt on the run. One of my coaches said to me, I think it was Ivan, he goes, good players can make the players around them, make the game easier for players around them. And I feel like you do that for a lot of people. And no matter what level you go to, your style play doesn't, it can change if it needs to, but your performances don't go down.
Well, I suppose if I didn't have the versatility, I wouldn't have played much rep footy at all because Boydo's been the left edge back row in every team, and he's captain of New South Wales, captain of Australia. We play the same position. So if I didn't have that versatility to play other positions or to play different styles, I wouldn't have found my way into the rep scene.
That's true, isn't it?
If one thing I am, I'm actually pretty grateful and proud that I can adapt and change to whatever the coach or whatever the team needs from me. Because if I didn't have that, I would have had a good career, but I wouldn't have had the opportunity to play in New South Wales or for Australia unless Boydo was injured. I never want to see Boydo injured because he's one of my good mates. So,
fuck, he's a great bloke, eh?
He's good, mate. He's good.
We've said this a few times on the podcast. All right, so we head over to Cronulla, start playing regular first grader. 2013 rocks about the ASADA scandal. Yeah. Fucking interesting times.
Yeah, it was tough times. On the playing group, on the club, on the game. It's probably the worst period of my whole career, well, not even my career, my life, to be honest. The way it all happened. And
how did it all happen?
Well, sitting at training one day, just a normal day, and then that press conference happened, and then the darkest day in sport, and then a couple of things started filtering through. I didn't pay it too much of attention, and then I remember watching it up, and I was talking to a couple of boys, and they started talking about that Stephen Dank. I don't know if it was that day or the day after. I was like, oh, that's that guy that used to be at our club. I said, what's he doing? And then from then on, probably a couple of days later, we had a board meeting with all the players, and all the players assembled in the group, and then it just fucking went downhill from there, dark spiral all the way down, and then you never sort of knew what was going on. You get speculation from the media, speculation from the club, speculation from the NRL about, you've had these substances, so you're not allowed to play this week. So then we're thinking we're not playing, and then you'd rock up the next day and it's like, oh, no, there's going to be next week now. The lawyer's coming down to sort of all this, and mate, it's just a mess, man.
Well, how does it take a effect on, like, you're a pretty level guy. I think you've got a great broad perspective on life, like your mental toll.
I think just non-stop speculation, because no one knew anything, right? It was uncharted territory for, a lot of the people. Obviously, ASADA was going through it down in Melbourne, but we're pretty much
kind of the first guys, eh?
Yeah, pretty much the face of it in NRL and in New South Wales, and it's just no one knew what was going on the whole time. Like, it was like, well, is this going to happen? And then we're getting advice from the club. Like, we were in our own little group. So it was the club, there was the players, the club, and the NRL, and then the lawyers. And there's like, no one actually knew what was going on the whole time. Then there was the investigation, and then there's just so many different parties in on it. And then no one really had a clear resolution or a clear path on how it was going to be resolved. Because the players were saying, well, we haven't done anything wrong. And then the club's saying, well, we haven't done anything wrong. And the NRL was trying to support us, but then trying to support ASADA because they have this, the government funding and everything. So everyone just didn't know, where it was going. And it dragged on for so long. That was the worst thing. It dragged on for 2 years, almost 2 seasons. And by the end of it, I was pretty much off the rails, mate. Footy was just a fun thing we got to do on the weekend, but had no focus in training, no commitment to the game. Just went and played on the weekend, and that was like 90% of the players going through it. They didn't really. It's hard to focus on your preparation and
sort of took off to Bali for a little bit as well, just to fucking get rid of it.
That was at the end of it. That was at the end of it. So when we took the backdated band, I actually had surgery on my foot like 2 weeks earlier, so I was out for the season. And then we came down that we were going to take these the backdated bands for 3 months, and we weren't allowed back to training.
Was it hard to accept that?
It was hard. It was hard because like
unintentionally kind of admitting to it.
You had to make an admission that you'd had a banned substance. So at the end, you had to make that admission. So it was hard, and none of us wanted to make the admission, or none of us wanted to cop it. But how it happened was, so we were going to have to stand down. The NRL was going to stand us down without pay until the ASADA had completed the investigation. So then our lawyers were trying to get information like, well, how long will it take for the investigation to conclude? And then get any answers from 12 to 18 months. So you would have to stand down without pay for 12 to 18 months, fight it with the lawyers, pay for lawyers. Yeah. So, if we're playing in the NBA and we had millions of dollars,
be right.
A lot of the boys would have took up the fight, but at that stage, it's gone for 2 years. It's just like, right, well, let's just get it done. We couldn't face the prospect of sitting out for 12 to 18 months without pay and then paying our own way with lawyers. So
it's a little bit similar with like Chico at the moment too. Like he's had his case, presented everything. And it's just like waiting.
It
and
takes
it's like,
time, mate.
Yeah, but why does it take so, what are they doing there?
I don't know, mate.
Surely there can't be that many drug stuff happening. And
I'll tell you what, but the trip I did at the end of it was the best thing I ever did. So we come back. So I'm just trying to get the timeline in my head. I think so. It came down that we had to take the backdated bands, and then I'd had my surgery on my foot, so we stood down, and then we weren't required to be back until a certain date, I think, to sign all the paperwork and that. So I took off to Bali. Toddy was already over there. He'd been sacked already. it was a golden run for all our mates. So Toddy had been sacked already. He was over in Bali already. And I said, well, stay there.
Crew.
Stay there, I'm coming. So then I got on the flight the next day. I knew I didn't have to be back until a certain date. I said, I'll come over for a week and then I'll come back. So we went over there, had a week in Bali, come back, met the lawyers, met the NRL, signed the papers, went and stayed at my mum and dad's. I'm sitting at mum and dad's. And I'm going, what am I going to do? Like, I can't train footy, can't go to the club. I'm in my mood boot, so I've just had a surgery, so I can't do much. And I said, stuff it. I'm booked a flight to London. I rang my manager. I had Harry Syker, Sterlo's brother. Yeah. He was over in England. I said, well, I'm going to London. So I rang my manager. I said, mate, book me a flight to London. He goes, oh, when? I said, in the morning I'm going. So I packed the bag, and then I just took off, went and stayed at Harry's for 2 or 3 nights, and then we ended up going to Barcelona, Germany, Amsterdam. Come back to London, watch an NFL game in London, and then sitting in London like 3 weeks later going, what am I going to do? Like, I still got 2 months. So I rang up Harry's brother, Sterlo, who was living in LA. I said, I'm coming to LA. So rang my manager, said, mate, book me a flight to LA. Then I went and spent 3 weeks in LA with Sterlo, just
fucking world tour, bro.
And that was the first time I'd ever had like probably just a break from footy. So as a junior, all I wanted to do was play, come into first grade, play, go to Cronulla, play, ASADA for 2 seasons. So even though, I'd always, loved the game and that, straight out of high school, I pretty much had a full-time job. The only thing that ever drove me was to play footy. So then when I had it taken away, when I went overseas and just travelled for the first time, I was still only 23 when I was over there. So I was like, this is pretty cool, man. Different cultures.
Opens up your eyes, doesn't it?
Different cultures.
Did it make it seem like football's not as big as it?
Yeah, well, as soon as I got to England, there was no dramas. Like, because no one ever heard of Wade Graham. No one ever heard of ASADA drama. It was like, well, when you're in the fishbowl, you feel like the world's coming in on you. But then as soon as I got out of it, or even Bali before that, it was like, no one gives a shit really, unless you're living in Sydney or.
You got a great point there. I used to, like, even when I was playing football, like I was like, even if we lost a game, I was like, fuck, everyone knows about this loss. I was like, no one
play a bad game. It's like go home and you come out. I don't want to leave the house. Well, they got to the stage. I didn't want to leave the house some days. Like I was lucky I had Toddy Carney for me then because he'd obviously been through his own dramas, mate. He'd ring me some mornings during the investigation. He goes, "Oh, do you want to go for brekkie?" And I go, "Yeah, sweet, go for brekkie." And then I'd get off the phone and I'd start thinking, I don't really want to go out the house today. Like, I don't want to see people down the mall. I don't want to catch up with no one. So I'd text him and go, no, I don't feel like coming for brekkie now. I've already eaten. And he go, no, I'm coming to get you, mate. You're leaving the house. You're not hiding away. So I was pretty lucky during that period. But
he's Toddy reminds me of Normie a little bit, where like they've had a lot of adversity between them, but they can kind of just cop it, can't they? And I feel like Normie's been great for Chico.
Toddy's funny because there's no denying he's got himself in the trouble, but so many times. But the way he cares about everyone else, like he's the first one to look after someone if they're in any drama or any strife. He's the first one to call. He's the first one to come and pick you up and like physically do stuff for you to help you out. But then he just like he can't tick it over for himself for some reason. He just wants to make it hard on himself.
Yeah. I know the feeling hanging around there, mates. All right, so every dark cloud has a silver lining. The fucking premiership.
Yeah, that was that was a great moment, man.
I reckon, like, I say this a lot to other people. I was like, there's people that actually want to win a comp and there's people playing first grade just for the benefits of it. But I feel like you're a guy that actually wants to win.
Oh, I wanted to win, mate. I wanted to win so bad.
Did you feel like you had that burden of playing for Cronulla on you guys? Because you guys kind of had that sort of bad rap for a bit, didn't you?
I feel like
cursed.
I feel like everything sort of was put on hold, to be honest. Like before Cronulla, so when I went there, before the ASADA stuff, like 11, we didn't play that well. Didn't play that well. I think we missed the finals. And then 12 we built, 13 we were building. It felt like we were building to something really good. And then even when the ASADA scandal happened, 13 we held it together. We actually played some good footy. I think we went one game off a prelim. We had a great team. We had a good team. We were holding it together. But because we were holding so tight, as when 14 rolled around, and, we lost Flano. Flano got suspended. And then we had a couple of injuries. And then that's when the cracks started to begin. And it just become too much for everyone. And then we just went completely, fell apart completely. But I felt like we were holding it all together pretty well. And then 13 and 14 was just a bit of a blur. Like everyone's just doing their best. 14, capitulation. Like we got the spoon, had so many injuries. Then the suspensions. And then 15, bang, it switched back on again. We had a good year. Like we went well in the nines. We had Jack Bird, Val come through.
I think about this a lot. Like to win a comp, like you always have to have your like gun players, but you have to have some really good rookies coming through that are underpriced at the time. You know what I mean?
100% you do. So for your top, say 10 player, or not even 10, say your top 7, 8 players, right? You know what you're going to get from them guys week in, week out throughout the season. You know what you're going to get. It's the group underneath that lifts you right up. They make you,
they put you in contention.
They carry you. Like they're the reason you're winning. Is the guys underneath, the guys you didn't really know too much about, and then they come through, and then they end up in hindsight being your best players. But at the time, no one really knew. Like you look at Jack Bird and Val. Even Benny Barber, the season before, he was coming off the bench for us. He didn't really have a position. We brought him in as a 5'8". He didn't really fit at 5'8". Michael Gordon was at fullback, so he wasn't really going to fullback. He ended up coming off the bench to end of 2015, just being a sort of super sub. 2016 rolls around, he has a cracker year. He almost wins us the comp single-handedly. Like these are the guys like
that one game against the Roosters when he was playing with Jack Bird was at 5'8", and he comes off the right twice, scores a try to win it. That was, and then almost you guys went on like 10 straight or some shit like that.
Yeah, that was a good year, man. That was the first year I've played in NRL when we went on that run, and we won 15 in a row, and we had a draw the 16th game. And like, during that run, like footy was easy, man. Like it was easy. Like no joke. Some like 1 week we didn't even do a captain's run.
Oh bullshit! Is that how good you boys are going?
Well, I think we were like 10, maybe 10 or 11 wins in the trot, and we rock up the Shark Park the day before game, and it's like rain and cats and dogs hammering. So all of the boys sort of look around and go, "Oh well, we're going to go out there or not?" And it's like most of us said, "Nah, we'll be right." And then sure enough, we play the next day and we won. Yeah, we won.
Who did you play? I don't want to say. Look up there, run, live and run. Nah, joking.
I'll keep that to myself. But that's what it was. And it was fun, man. Like after the previous couple of years, like 15, we had a really good run as well. I think.
Guys keep getting done in the finals by weird stuff.
So 15, Cowboys smoked us up at.
I remember that.
They smoked us up at Townsville, and then I remember Matt Scott ran over, I think it was Louis and Gelf to kick off, the very first kick-off, like just straight over the top, and it was a quick play the ball, and then that was it. We didn't get the ball back after that. Like, we just couldn't get on the front foot. They were just playing well. Like, it was like a game. We've all had them games where, like, you play the opposition, it's like, mate, they're just bigger, stronger, faster than us. They just have those games. And it was funny, the year after, in 16, we did it to the Cowboys in the semis at Allianz. Like, we had the week off, it was the prelim, and it was like we got shot out of a cannon, and they just couldn't keep up with us the whole game.
It's funny you talk about that. I remember MG saying that about the Panthers back when they used to play the Raiders. Like, when they used to play Raiders, they're like, they're just so much bigger and stronger. Then sort of the next year, they're like, oh, they don't actually look as big.
It was just momentum, mate. Momentum in the game. So
it helps, doesn't it?
But yeah, so 16 we go on and we win it, and it's just like, it's obviously the.
Do you remember the game?
I remember the season more than the game. I remember the game was so hard. Like,
it's a fucking great game.
One of those games. Well, the game 15 and 16 were great grand finals. Like 15, I remember sitting at Clavelli.
I was there. I was there, bro.
My missus was there too. That was when we first started going out. So, it went all the way to the wire, and then Michael Morgan does that pass to Felt on the bell, and then JT misses a goal. It's golden point, and then he kicks it wins the game, and it's like, that's a cracker grand final. Like, finish right on the bell on the 80.
You're not going to beat that.
You're not going to beat that. And then the next year we play the Storm, and we get off to a fast start. They peg us back. Fafita scores that try, and then they have a scrum in the last minute in their own half on their 10-metre line. They go all the way to the end of the field, shift left, all the way to the corner, shift right.
What are you thinking in there?
Even now, watching that, our poor fans, man.
Yeah.
That would have, if we'd lost that, it might have broke me, after everything that happened. It could have almost broke me in the game, like, just the way that year went. But it's all in hindsight now. We got it done.
Time's a funny thing, man. Like, when you're trying to defend a lead, a minute feels like forever, and you're trying to chase it. It's not long enough, is it?
Try to row straight out for a minute. That's what, a minute's a long time.
Yeah, 100%.
But I tell you what, winning the premiership, it's like a massive burden off your shoulders. It's like a validation to all the hard work you've done over your whole, like, not just NRL career, like your life. Just first started as a 14-year-old doing a preseason.
It's like you clocked the PlayStation game,
it's
eh?
It's just like
I've clocked it.
You just feel validated. Like, everything I've done, I finally got there, finally did it. So I
talk about this with Ches a little bit because we're really good mates. I was like, fuck, you're lucky. You just want to comp straight away.
Well, you speak to Luke Lewis about it, and he was the same. So he won his second season at in Penrith, and I think if you win one straight away, you don't really appreciate how hard it is. Like, you come into a good team,
true.
You come into a good team and you win it. And don't get me wrong, you don't earn it. It's not less. You're just right time, right place. But then if you're going through some real tough times and you've had to work and you've been a part of the club for such a long time and you've been so close or something's happened, like, to finally get there, it's just a massive validation, really, and a weight off your shoulders. I remember walking around like, Jesus.
Top of the world,
if we finish now, it's all right. I'm happy. Like,
100%.
But no, it was good. And it was good for the club too. Like, that season, you said, was it a burden? The whole thing, Cronulla's never won a premiership. It actually become an advantage, I feel like, during that year, because when we went on that run, you could feel the community, like, getting behind it, and you could feel like, this could be our year, and everyone got behind us. I remember on the bus leaving to the game, we left from we didn't leave from Shark Park, we left from up the road, and all the roads in line with people and flags, and just that feeling like, it's bigger than us, like, it's bigger than the game. It just felt like it was our time, so it was good. It was good that it worked out like that. Didn't feel like our time when Jesse Bromwich scored with about 15 minutes ago. Took the lead. I was like, oh no, this wasn't supposed to happen, but
crazy. So you've been quite durable. You're on 230 games around there.
Yeah. The last
first
couple
big
years,
injury, bro.
Last couple of years have been tough. So, So what was it? Not 18 season was tough. I just kept picking up little things. So I did hammy, and then come back, did my hammy again, come back, did my medial, come back. I broke my cheekbones. I had surgery on that, and then all little things, and then bang, semi-final ACL. It's like, just to top it off.
Just to hear those 3 letters, ACL, what went through your mind?
Well, I knew straight away that I did. I'd never done ACL before, but I knew straight away what it was. It's like this explosion in my knee, and then just the pain to start with. And then it was funny because the pain went away like maybe 5, 10. By the time I got to the sheds, the pain was actually gone. I'm going, it's not too bad. But then I did the test and that.
It does. Yeah, it doesn't hurt too much.
No, it's only the initial one. But then, it's the reason, when they say you blow out your knee, because that's what it felt like to me. Just like a boom explosion from my knee, and I was like, that can't be good at all. And then the pain for a little bit, and then once I got to the sheds, I'm watching the semi-final, and I was more interested in the game than my knee. And then I got the scans, doctoring me. I got the scans that night. The Roosters were that good. They put me in their facility right next door to the stadium. Like, their doctor took me in and everything. So they were great. I think it's because I made some boy day. Straight in the red carpet. So by the time I drove home from that game, like, we had the results. We knew it was ACL. But then I went to training the next day because I think we were playing Penrith the following week. And I went to training the next day and I'm like, are you sure it's my ACL? Like, it's feeling okay. Like, but it is what it is. And then booked in for surgery that week, and the way the rehab started.
Isn't that a grind?
Yeah. It's long. There's no shortcuts in an ACL rehab. It's a lot of time and a lot of like little stuff, just switching your quad back on, getting your hemi working again, getting your balance, landing, all the repetition. And it's just, like, you can't sugarcoat it. There's just no shortcuts in it.
Yeah, I remember when I done my ACL and they said, yours is actually a right. Seven receiver dived out my leg while playing Penrith. And I remember I trained on the Monday. Like, we were just doing like small skills and stuff, and like it didn't feel right, but I was strapped up. And then I had the scan Tuesday, and they're like, no, you've done the ACL.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad because it's like the integrity of the joint. It's not really like, you can run straight lines with it.
Just can't stop and shit.
You can't stop, but if someone hits you and it's not intact and your knee goes, well, then the whole thing will blow out then because that runs through the centre of your knee. So it's like the integrity of your whole joint.
They're quite strong too in ACL. I remember when I done mine, they like, it can hold up like a ton of weight, like the actual. So the kind of the moons have to be aligned to this for you to.
Well, it's funny. So when I did mine, I touch wood. The doc said, like, I had no MCL damage, no patella, no meniscus damage.
I was the same as you, yeah.
No, nothing. He said, mate, it's just pure ACL. And I was like, well, if there's any silver lining, at least you don't need to muck around with the meniscus and that, because that's, when you start hearing about that, like the cartilage tears, and you start hearing the stories about the boys with chronic knee injuries, like knee or bone on bone, and you're missing part of your cartilage. That's when you're going to have like.
It fucks your whole life, doesn't it, bro?
Ongoing issues, man, for your whole life.
Bro, Benny Modolino, like, he goes, bro, when I wake up in my first like half an hour, it feels like I'm walking, my knees are walking on glass.
It is what it is.
As great as footy is, and you don't want to be fucking up your whole life, do you?
Yeah. So that was tough, but I just had my young bloke, so it was all right. He was 3 months old.
Silver lining, isn't it?
Yeah, I did my ACL, so I got to spend some time at home with the missus and the young bloke, and
perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah. Life outside of football, what do you get up to, bro? Like, you obviously got a family now. How'd you meet your girl?
Well, you were there, but I the old Clavelli.
Jack the little Canadian?
Oh, no, it wasn't Clavelli. It was Coogee Palace.
No, it was Chloe. I remember.
No, it was Coogee Pavilion. We were all upstairs. It was a weekend off. She was a backpacker. I remember she rolled in with Dave Martin's crew.
Yeah. No, that's when we first met them, eh?
That's when we first met. And then I remember we were sitting there and she said, I'm French Canadian. And I was like, well, what's your dad's French? Your mum's Canadian? I don't know. I don't know what a French Canadian was, man.
There's people listening to that won't know that either.
100%, man. So she goes, no. I said, so your mum's Canadian, your dad's French? She goes, no, I'm French Canadian. It's like the province in Canada that's they speak French.
So you got a bit of French in you now? Yeah. Give us some.
No, je parle anglais.
What'd you say?
I said I speak English.
Oh, do you? So you can speak a little bit now, eh?
A little bit. I go and learn on Monday night. So
is it a hard language to learn?
It's hard. Well, I think learning a second language, doesn't matter what it is, it's hard. But yeah.
I've got mates flat out speaking English.
I'm not making great strides in it, but the young bloke's getting at the stage now where we're reading books and that.
Oh, so he's going to be bilingual?
He's going to be bilingual, and we watch TV and we put it in French, and my missus talks to him in French majority, like good nights and good mornings and how are you and do this. It's all in French. So I'll pick up more from her, I think, than class. Class is just basically like learning the rules and the language rules and like past tense, present tense.
Oh, okay.
When you two learn all the stuff, that's what I'm pretty much basically like now. Except I'm a dumb you two.
Toddy teaching you anything?
No, Toddy doesn't know nothing. He doesn't know nothing. So, but yeah, the missus was good. So how we met her at Clavelli. Oh no, it was Coogee. It was Coogee that night, and then she was just back.
We played yous that day, eh? That was that Anzac test game.
Yeah, I couldn't work it out what it was. I was thinking about it last night because I thought we'd speak about it because you were there. Because I think you said you were a photographer or something.
Don't tell people that.
We had a motley crew.
Yeah,
right?
fucking hope we did.
It was all of us. So I was there and I was from Cronulla. I think I was the only one from Cronulla.
I remember this, bro, because we played yous Cronulla in that Anzac test game out in Cronulla and we beat yous, and then you come to our house and we had a few beers and then we went into Coogee because it was on a Sunday.
Yeah, but Boydo was there, Friendy was there, Piercy was there.
I think everyone was
all the
just
Roosters
blind.
crew was there. We must have had the weekend off the following weekend or something because I swear it was a motley crew. Like it was real. It was real.
Yeah, it was
random.
footy
Yeah,
central.
It was real random, and then we ended up meeting her, and then that was pretty much the end for me.
See you later, boys.
Yeah, no. So, and then we went to Clovelly on the grand final. That was a couple months later, and then that's when we really kicked it off. And then we've been together ever since.
Yeah, awesome.
Young bloke now, 18 months. Another one on the way. Engaged. Get married next year. So.
How'd you propose?
We were just in the harbour. Took her out one night in the harbour, and her old man was over. So very rarely do we get to share news with them like firsthand. It's always hardly ever. It's always her sending a text message or ringing them up and telling them the news. So I planned. Her old man was out.
Did you hit him up before?
Yeah, I actually asked him the Christmas before when I was at in Canada.
Is that an awkward conversation to have? Or?
Well, he doesn't speak English that well, so
Mary?
Yeah, no, he was all right. He's a good man. Her father's a good man. He's been out a couple of times now. So I asked him, and then I come back, and I always knew that I was going to do it. I just didn't have a time frame on it, or when or how it went. And then she rings up. I said, Dad's coming over. I think it was the end of January. Dad's coming over. I said, sweet. And then I started thinking, I'll do it one night when he's here. So not obviously he's here, but we can do it. And then when we go and meet him, they can all celebrate together. So we end up, he was over in Manly for the day. Him and his partner were in Manly for the day. And then me and Kerry-Ann, we went into the Rocks. We just had a bit of dinner and a couple of drinks. And I just did it on this side of the Harbour Bridge where you can see the Opera House.
I know. Yeah.
So just there. And then sure enough, we walk around down the Rocks, and there's her old man, the first person she sees, and she's that proud, man. Holds up the ring, and then he was stoked, and we had a good dinner in the city, and away we went.
What'd you say?
Mate, it was funny. She had she cut her hand doing resin like probably 3 weeks previous, and had surgery, so she had this like cast on her hand. I said, you're going to have to take your cast off. She's like, she was a bit confused. I was like, you're going to have to take your cast off. And there was like a bit of backstory. We almost weren't going to go to dinner, and then I had the ring in my pocket. I was like, no, we're going to dinner. Like, I already decided in my head, this is it. And then, so I said, you got to take this off. I said, it's time. So I dropped down with the young bloke, holding the young bloke, and that was it, mate.
Can't say no to that, can you? You're too smart, that, bro.
I had the young bloke on my knee, so, she wasn't getting out of that one.
What does Graham look like after football?
I don't know, to be honest. I always thought
I see you as a coach, I
always thought I'd stay within the game, whether it be like coaching or training or even administration within the club. Like I love footy. Footy's all I've ever known, and it's what I love to do. And it's pretty much what I'm experiencing. I'm not really experiencing anything else outside. I've got a Cert 3 and 4 in fitness, and I know how to train and what not to do just through my experience of footy. And then I've got a business diploma, but I've never really started a business. I might have to get some advice from you. Because he's cut me out of the last one.
That's a lie. Don't touch on that. Don't touch on that.
We'll touch on that one after. So I always thought I'd stay within the game. But there's every chance now we can move to Canada for a bit. Like she's doing her time over here away from her family. So we'd love to get the kids over there at some stage. So, the Cert 3 and 4 in fitness might come in handy over there, getting a job for a while.
What's Canada like? I've been to Toronto.
I love it, mate. I love it over there. I can only ever go at Christmas time, so it's always snowing and very cold. But it's just so for me, it's a novelty. Right? I go over there, and when I say snowing, it's proper snow. Like, just get rid of these messages.
Jeez, you're popular.
That's my young bloke at Christmas. Yeah.
Oh, so like a proper snow,
Snow, yeah. I don't know if they can show the camera, but it's like a snowman. Like that's just proper snow out the front.
Not a bit of sleet on top of the grass.
And it's cool. So we have it's called a chalet. It's like a lake house over there. So we have our own place over there. So we go and we pretty much spend Christmas or whatever time we go up there, and then her family comes. Like her old man's got a 4-wheeler up there, so we ride down from the chalet onto the lake, which is frozen, and you take the 4-wheeler out up the whole lake because the whole thing's frozen. And I'm sitting there on this 4-wheeler, like riding along, laughing to myself, going, wait.
Fuck, I'm from Blacktown.
If my mates who I grew up with could see me now, like, it's taking the piss. But, we love it over there. The family's over there. It's always good there. So there's a fair chance we'll end up there for a few years, and then who knows, mate? Who knows?
It was funny. When I was talking to your girlfriend one time, because I went to Canada, I was like, "Fuck this! So many pretty girls in Canada. It's fucking weird." And she's like, "Yeah, look at me." So we're going to rip into the Q&A part of the show. Just answer any ones that you want.
Yeah, cool. Wade, do you wish you didn't leave the Panthers?
No,
Not now.
No, not now. Like, it's a part of my journey. It's part of my career. I love I love Cronulla now. I love the club. I'm a big part of it. My family lives there. I'm very settled there. Like ideally, like as a youngster, I never would have seen myself leaving Penrith at all. But that's just the way life goes, and it's all in the past now.
Does it like I look at Penrith juniors? I'm like some of the ones that leave. I feel like some of them have to leave to get better. But fuck, they've let some good juniors go over the years, haven't they?
Yeah, it's just tough. Like managing the salary cap's such a big thing. Like there's an art to it. Like the clubs who have sustained success get it right, and then the clubs who don't, obviously struggle. Like you look at Newcastle a few years ago, they were 3 wooden spoons in a row, or because the cap was messed up and you can't really do anything, and then you're tied in for X amount of time. So if you mess the cap up, it's so hard for the club. So that's just decisions you got to make, and sometimes you make the right ones. Which
it's so true. No one really talks about that, eh?
You can only make the decision, right then, right now. You never know what's going to happen. Like if I go to the Cronulla and I get hurt and never play again, well, it's probably a smart decision. Or if I don't quite make it, or if I'm not quite good enough, you go, well, it's a smart decision to let them go. So the management can only make the decision on what they have right then, and you're not going to get everyone right.
Very mature answer.
Very, very. If you could shoulder charge one bloke, who would it be?
I'm not too sure.
Do you know what's funny? We're talking about Chico was up at the Bronx last year and Lexi was captaining, and they were talking about playing the Sharks, and Lexi was sort of going, like the boys won't come out the line, and Chico was going, I didn't want to pump you around. Fuck, that gave me a laugh.
Oh, no. Man.
You got quite a front-on style of tackling, eh?
It's like,
have you got a sternum guard on?
Nah, I used to. I have cracked my sternum before, so I used to wear a guard for a season. But yeah, like I'm not the biggest guy, so it's all got to be me building up speed and getting them when they're not looking at me.
You can read the play too.
Yeah. Normally, if they're looking at me, then I'm going to come off second best. But I don't know. Like I'm not. I don't really have much. Like
who? No, come on. Who's shoulder charging?
I'm trying to think. Like sometimes I want to shoulder charge blokes in my own team. I was like, Chico, mate, when you see a hooker go to a wide, I would just love to drop the shoulder. Like, it's not that hard. Just listen and just pass the ball.
Yeah.
Have you ever come close to leaving the club?
I did almost. I was really close to going to South one year. That was
I remember that
2015 maybe. So it was just after all the ASADA dramas. Souths had just won the comp, I think, in 2015 maybe, or 2014. 14 they just won the comp, so they had a good team. Senior Burgess, GI. They had Michael Maguire at the coach, who I think it was his first year there, and they'd obviously gone from strength to strength. And just after all the dramas, I just felt maybe a change could be what I need, but then I had too much unfinished business at the Sharks. I felt like through the whole ASADA period, everything was just put on hold, and I was like, well, we didn't really get a good opportunity to have a crack at doing it, and being our best self. And I always knew the team we had there, and I knew what we could do. And then, thankfully, I stuck it out.
Yeah, paid off. Who's the best player never to crack the NRL?
Oh, there's a couple.
Greggy Waddell.
Greg Waddell. For me. Greg Waddell was the best junior I ever played with. So
did someone else bring him up?
Oh, he's like the common guy that everyone sort of our age goes. I read about him when I was over in New Zealand.
Anyone who grew up in Western Sydney
knows Greggy. Yeah. I remember reading an article about him when I was in New Zealand, because I was always trying to look at all the guys coming through over here, and the guy that scouted him, he goes, he's better than GI.
Yeah, well,
at the same age.
It was very similar to GI, like as in body shape and like speed and that. But the thing with Greg was he's so aggressive. Like imagine like GI's GI, and he used to get aggressive every now and again, but he was so good that he used to just float across and just beat people with his skill and that. Where like Greg used to go looking for the contact and looking for he was a real aggressive kid. He's a nice kid, like very nice, but just when he went on the
great
field,
guy, Greggy.
he was just very aggressive, and unfortunately, like his body just let him down. 2 knee recos, and then he come back. And I remember he was chasing Michael Jennings. Michael Jennings made a break at training, and Greggy was chasing him and was like actually mowing him. That was when Jenko was like super quick and ripped his hemi off the bone. Like that's the sort of stuff he had. And then he actually tried to have a crack. He got signed at the South on like a training trial.
I remember that. Yeah,
and he's like
done his tricep or something stupid.
Yeah. So he was having a crack. He was having one last crack, and we would have been like maybe 21, 22. He was having one last crack, and then something happened. He got injured again. Tricep, and then he might have broke his hand or something, and then that was it. He caught it, but yeah, he was a good junior player.
Anyone else?
There's another guy I played with. His name was Abraham Murdoch. I played with him at Blacktown, like only young as, and he was a freak, man. He was so good. He was probably
Posse.
he was a back rower. He's tall, rangy thing, like similar body shape to Greggy, and he was a really good player, but just just never quite stuck the footy, and then just family circumstances just didn't work out for him, and then he was lost to the game. But Jesus is a good junior player.
Was George Tafua a bully back in school?
No, he wasn't. Georgie was.
He's too nice,
it's
Georgie.
funny,
Yeah.
Georgie, so we're in the hills, and it used to be Grantham High. So the first year I started Year 7, it was the first year it became a sports school. So it was a mixture of the local kids around Toongabbie, Seven Hills, and then the sports kids who came in and made the program. It was a full mix. And then Georgie was just the local kid who came in, and he never really was in the footy program at all, and then didn't even play footy all that much. Like, we knew he played outside of school. He didn't really play that much during school, and then by the time we got to about Year 10, Year 11, he started to play. He's like getting into the team, and then he's an example of how the under-20s, the old system, really worked. Like, he was just sort of playing, didn't play much junior reps, and then went, got a gig at Manly in the 20s, and then just went bang and killed it, got an opportunity, and now he's...
It was like playing at Winnie or something, eh? And
that was where the old system really, like, if you didn't play in the juniors, like Harold Matts, SG Ball the whole way, but then you got recruited to a club and all of a sudden you were playing on TV in the 20s and you got a bit of exposure, bang, that was an example of it really working. And Georgie, man, like, he's had a great career now.
Luke Kerry's another one of those guys, eh?
Andrew Fafita, he's the biggest example. Like, so Andrew reckons he comes from Griffith. He's not from Griffith. He grew up in Doonside. And then he actually got sent down to Griffith as a young fella to stay out of trouble when he was about 16, 17. So he left footy. Right, he's playing footy down in Griffith, and then he was doing his thing, and then he comes back to Sydney, picks up a gig at the Tigers, just playing under 20, then comes out and shoots it, lights out, scores 30 tries in a year as a prop forward. Not 30, obviously, but about that much. And then bang, straight into first grade, and becomes one of the greatest front rows of the modern era.
Very different, eh? You can't match him to anyone besides his brother.
No, well, just his body shape and the way he moves, and
Engine.
Yeah, big engine.
How do you manage your money? Tips for investing?
Yeah, well, I got a financial
On the horses, right?
I got a finance guy who advises me in all my finance.
Did you get that early?
No, I didn't. I got that probably 25, 26. So I was always, no, don't get me wrong, I've always had a good time with the boys, going out, having a beer, having a punt here and there, but I've always been pretty good with money. Like, I bought a house in Penrith when I was 18, and then it took me a while, but then I bought the house in Lillypilly, and then I saved all my money, and I renovated that house, and then by the time I was not knowing where to go next, I jumped in with my finance guy. So yeah, he's been really good for me, just putting money away. Like, we've got a couple of properties, we've got 2 duplexes up in Ballina, I've got the house in Canada. We're just planning on a renovation at home now that the family's growing, and then we have a stock portfolio that he manages.
What sort of I talk about stock portfolios a little bit of the time. What percentage of your income do you put into that?
So before or after tax?
After. Just go percentage wise.
I put 10. Oh no, I put 30% in.
Oh shit!
Straight before paid it. So I'll get paid. 30% goes straight there. Then the other, all my mortgages get paid, and then the rest goes into my offset account.
Yeah.
And we just save up, me and the missus, and that's our spending money pretty much.
What do you diversify your portfolio across in the stock market, or you just leave it up to them?
Leave it up to him to manage. So,
it's not going good at the moment with all this shit happening.
Coronavirus, but it happens in everything. So, no, I'm confident in him. We get to. He takes me through everything. Actually, I'm catching up with him just before the season kicks off. Normally, we get together. We have like a catch up to exactly where we are at that point, and then we set some goals moving forward, and we catch up about once every 6 months. Normally he lives on the sunny coast, so we try and catch up when we play up in Brisbane, and that he's a good fella.
What's your advice to an 18-year-old NRL player right now?
Get organised.
Straight away.
Straight away. Like, a budget is the best thing to, like, I didn't learn until late, and luckily for me, my manager and that was pretty good when I was young. They helped me out budgeting. I only get X amount of money in.
Because I remember we used to go out on beers and that you guys used to have to jump on the phone to get more money.
Get more money. Like, that was it. Any chances of more money? And then
like us boys, we just had a whole salary just sitting in our fucking chicken account. We could grab it when we were fuck, I regret
so
it.
I was lucky there. And like, the thing is, you got to make mistakes when you're young, right? But in our
you can make cheaper mistakes.
In our footy, you don't want to make too much of a big mistakes with the money, because the money's not going to come all
no, it dries up pretty soon.
Yeah, you got to work it out. And But yeah, we're pretty lucky. So he helps me out. We have like a meeting like at the point of every year. Go, all right, let's set some goals. But at the moment, I'm pretty much set. So I'm pretty much tied up in, in the properties I have, and then just putting away in this portfolio. I've got some expenses coming up. Obviously, the renovation, the wedding. The wedding's going to cost me a fair bit. We're going to get married over in Canada, so it's going to set me back. Find my mum and like my family over there and that. So, pretty much set now. So just kind of grind now for the rest of my career. Grind and try and get that mortgage down.
Drag it out, bro.
Get that mortgage down.
Do you regret robbing Sterling of his one and only NRL game?
That's a fake question. That's
I didn't write these.
I don't know. Also, still like come close, did he?
I
Or
don't know. He must have. He was playing 5'8" back in Penrith back in the day.
Oh, really?
He used to jump in. He used to jump in when I was up playing. So maybe he must have been close. I come back from injury or something. I don't know. That's still just trying to.
because I was wondering that question. I was like, oh fuck, maybe still I did get close.
Still was a good player.
Was he?
Yeah, still was a good player.
Knew Harry was.
Yeah, mate, tough country kid.
Yeah.
Again, just injuries. But
He'd have been lippy on the field, eh?
We all had some chat. All Western Sydney blokes. We had some chat. But he was a good player. He was a good player. And then just at that time, you know what it's like. You turn 19, 20, right, and you go, well, do I keep chasing the dream, or do I go out and get an apprenticeship? Do I start, make a decision to go? You got to make that call, right? Otherwise, if you chase the dream, all of a sudden you're 24, 25, and you still
Start your apprenticeship then, eh?
yeah. So it's a tough one, and like a lot of guys got to make that call, pretty early on. I know there's opportunities to go, study while you play and learn while you play, or TAFE while you play.
Do you reckon there's enough opportunity? I know there's enough opportunity, but do you reckon they're pushing them in the right directions with the stuff while they're doing football?
Yeah, I think the studies show 100% that if you're preoccupied off the field, then there's less chance of stuff going wrong, and you getting you have more direction, and your footy actually improves. But it's hard to tell a young guy, mate, go and focus on this when you're so driven. Like most guys are so driven to play sport and succeed. All they have is tunnel vision, is footy. That's it. Footy. Like, why do I want to go concentrate over there when it's just going to take away from me concentrating on reaching this goal? And then 9 times out of 10, you finally reach the goal. Oh, I play first grade. So like, well, I want to play every week. So then you're driven. It's not until you establish yourself, and then you go, oh, okay, I'm here now. I go, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? Then you go all of a sudden, and it always takes a few years. So all of a sudden, if you debut early, say 20, and then you grind for 3 years going, oh, I'm established after 3 years. I played, 70 games, 80 games, I'm established. Oh, you're still 24, 25. It goes like that. It goes so quick.
That back half of the 20s goes really quick, eh?
Yeah.
In footy.
Yeah. Well, the first, like, it's hard. When you're first starting and trying to establish yourself, it's so hard because there's only a certain amount of room in the game for the elite players, right? But the difference between the elite players and the non-elite players is, mate, sometimes timing, opportunity, injuries.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you're an elite player as a kid and then all of a sudden you have a couple of big injuries, and then, you're 22, then you're 23, then you're 24, and like
The game just feels different, eh?
the clubs start going, well, there's a 24, 25-year-old guy who used to be good, or there's a 19-year-old guy who's coming through, hitting it. Like, you start to cycle through pretty quick. So you only got a small window to establish yourself. Otherwise, the opportunities almost are gone for you.
How big's that window?
But it depends how hard you're willing to work and how much you want to sacrifice. You can keep going if you believe in yourself, but then get to 28, finally crack it, spend a couple of good years at the top, back to where you started 2 years ago. So you look at a couple of stories.
Damien Cook and that. Cody Walker.
Cookie's a late bloomer. Cody Walker. But there's a lad's name who played in the wing for South one year. Come in, he's like 28, had like one or two good years, and then now he's lost. He's gone to the game. I forget his name. If it comes to my head. It's just a hard game, right? It's pretty cutthroat.
Yeah.
Career. Make the most of it while you can.
Yeah, actually, just to back off education, I feel like football players waste the leverage that they have by getting in front of the right people. So obviously, the clubs will go, oh, here's a certificate in business, and boys don't want to do that shit, man. Like, find a job that you like, and I bet you there's a Cronulla fan that's a builder that will come hang out here, and you go buy him a snitty or buy him a beer. Fucking, that's where you learn.
Yeah.
It's like doing education in football. Like, what's the one book you read about football? Like, fucking none. You learn football by playing football. You learn business by doing business.
Yeah, true.
All right. You're going on a bender. Who's your starting four?
Oh, yeah.
Toddy's number one, isn't he?
Toddy's. And they got to be
He
footy
gets a
players?
bad rap, Toddy, but he's funny. He's all time on the piss.
Are they got to be footy players?
Nah. Oh, no, let's
I
go
was
footy.
gonna
Let's
say,
go
yeah,
footy.
yeah.
Yeah, keep it footy.
No, Toddy's there. I go Boydo. Boydo because he just never quits, man. He never quits.
He doesn't drink through the year too, eh?
No, he doesn't drink for a year, but it's just, how he plays, right? You just know he's tough. He never quits. He's just going to come at you all game. That's what he's like having a beer with. Like, if you're sitting until 4 o'clock having a beer with someone, one-on-one, he'll just sit there and just stare you down and say, well, you're quitting before me. Chico, just because of his energy.
Yeah. You boys are proper tight, eh?
Yeah, it's funny, though. Like, Chico played for Penrith. That's how we first met. We never met each other. I wasn't even at Penrith. I was out there catching up with like Lockie Coote and that couple of boys who I used to talk to. And then me and him just clicked, and then that was it, really.
Yeah, that's how I sort of weaved my way in, eh?
Yeah, pretty much. One more. Moyes will be sad if I don't bring him.
What's Moyes bringing to the table?
He actually got a pretty good chat, Moyes.
He just bags you all the time, eh? But like 2 in the morning, like, fuck, Moyes, just give us a break, man, bro. You keep bagging me, bro.
Jeff Robbo.
Yeah, he's undercover. He's undercover, Jeff Robbo.
I could keep going, mate. I'm pretty easy. I might sub myself out and just jump in and watch the other boys go.
How does Wade Graham get better as a footballer?
Well, for me, it's always like working hard and staying on top of your game. Staying on top of your game is the biggest thing because, everyone can play one good game and, you can be banned in the batch one game. We're trying to do that all the time. Can you back it up? You have a good game. Can you back it up? So my thing is, I had a good return from my ACL. And that was the thing, like, he's returned from his ACL.
Fuck you, bro. You returned from that so easy. Fucker. Made it look so the 2 games in Origin, eh?
Well, that's the thing now. But so I've had a full preseason now. If I don't hit the ground running, they go, what's happened? Like, you got to back that up. You got to always back it up, and that's like professional sport. Is you put your resume out every time. You're like, you go out in the field, like, this is my resume. If you're not good enough, we'll find someone who's good enough, like the young kid coming through or the next guy coming through. Because if you don't do your job, someone else will come and do it.
There's not many jobs in the world where you judge weekly, eh?
That's it, weekly by everyone. And it's not just, all that matters is obviously your coach and your teammates because they're the ones who you directly affect. But you judge, you're putting your resume out online every week, every time you play. So, which is why you half play the game. That's in your nature, your competitive nature. That's that's what drives you inside is to perform well, expectations, get out there and play. Like, that's the beauty of the game. It's hard sometimes when things aren't going your way.
Oh, bro.
But there's a lot of positives with it too.
Fucking oath there is. I'll ask you a question while he's just doing that. What's your favourite percentage to play off on the field?
I like a 6 and 4.
You like 6-4?
6 and 4.
Do you want the ball on that 6 and 4? Do you want your 5'8" or?
Just it depends who I got playing with me, like what players I got. Like if I play with someone like Moiser at the back, man, I'm happy just to jam that half because I know he's going to
strip it through and two.
Ice it out the back. Like just who I'm with. And that's probably comes down to
personnel.
What we were saying about adapting to who we got, what the team style is. Like, because let's be honest, I'm not like that fast. I'm not that strong. I'm probably not going to do much myself. My strength is like getting people who are good at what they do and giving them a bit of space, let them go and create something for them. So yeah, I like 6 and 4. It's easy. The fullbacks jumping the line changed a lot now. Like it's like, do you take the fullback on? Do you get him in the tackle? Do you kick early to get him out of the line? And that's how the game's always adapted. Like someone will figure out what to do,
how to plug it,
how to plug that, and then they go, okay, what are we going to do next? Like the game's changed so much since I've started. Like having a fullback defending the line, attacking in good ball was unheard of when I first started. Now it's the norm.
Ready to go?
Yeah, sorry. Actually, moving forward, I think we might do this where we bring up plays and get the boys in and talk about it because I feel like I make great because I know what you're talking about, but there's people going 6'4", what the fuck does that mean? Isn't that their band 1-4?
When was the last time you popped into Walters Road Butchery?
So that was my first job, right? Walters Road Butchery. I
Feeding to me.
I wonder who said that. Probably his young bloke. Wally wouldn't have Instagram. So I used to play religiously. I used to play golf with my old man on a Sunday. Or there was a social club at his pub, like Sporty's Hotel social clubs. I used to play every Sunday, right? And then I was young. I started when I was maybe 12 or 13. And then
you hit him all right, do you?
I enjoy the golf. I used to hit him better when I was younger. Don't get the time as much anymore. But yeah, religiously I'd go to golf with Dad, and then it used to be like $35 to play they would get you green fees and get you a barbecue back at the pub after the game.
Yeah, sick.
So it was perfect, right? They ended up getting like 40, 50 members by the end of it. They were killing it. So I used to play, and then one day my old man had a bit to drink and he was into me. I was like 14, so I was giving him a bit of stick. He was into me. He goes, "Oh, well, mate, I've got to pay double. I've got to pay for my own fees, and then you got to pay for, like, I've got to pay for you as well." So then Butcher, like Wally, he used to sponsor the club. He used to provide all the meat for the boys after the golf.
Yeah.
He goes, "No, I'll put him on." Like, he comes down Saturday mornings, come down at 6 o'clock.
Beauty room my weekend.
He can finish at 12. Well, I was only a kid, man. He come down at 6 o'clock. He can finish at 12. And then I'll give you some cash to come and clean my butcher. So I used to go down there, clean all his trays, mop his floors. He used to give me $50. He used to give me $50 on a Saturday morning.
Oh, so you had some change after
So
that.
I'd go home and put it in my drawer. I'd go out, I'd go play footy, Saturday Arvos with my team, Blacktown. I'd go home and then I'd sleep. And then Sunday morning I'd wake up, I'd go and pay for my own golf, man. That was one of the best things I loved, just going in there paying for my own golf. I'd get my change, play a couple of games of pool at the pub. I was late for the barbecue and that was pretty much my childhood, man. Every Sunday.
You got like a grown man childhood. Like a full-on grown-up.
It was good fun, mate. We used to go there like I'm talking every Sunday, and then they'd open up the pool table for me because they used to really like me back then. All the staff, they'd open up the pool tables, they'd let me play all the time, and I was pretty much hanging out with my
Made for
dad.
pubs,
Like,
huh?
I was hanging out with my dad like all my like junior life. I was hanging out with my dad the whole time.
3 sisters. Yeah, you want to.
Yeah.
Is it tough punching overs with the misso?
I read a post the other day. I said, like, you're a good looking bloke, but an average looking bloke with good chat would beat a good looking bloke with shit chat. Yeah. It's all about chat, eh, bro? You can speak well. You're good looking.
Have some chat, but my missus is good. She's fiery as, man. So she's good for me. Like every now and again, I need to be, clip it hard.
What's the biggest spray you've got from your girlfriend?
Mate, normally when she's real angry, she goes into French, so I don't know what she's saying. She'll send me a long ass,
Excuse my French.
like a long French message, and I'll sit there like that, like normally.
You're at the French on Monday. Guys, can you please help me with this?
In the Google
Translator, yeah, 100.
No. But no, she's cool, my missus.
Ever try and drag one of the boys home at the same time so you don't get in trouble?
Yeah. That's
So when you
you go in first. I'll come in behind you.
What's changed in footy since you started? You sort of touched on it before.
Yeah, there's a lot changed. I think
media's the big thing, isn't
media's changed. Well,
access.
there's so much you can, like, from when I first started. Like, we can talk about just purely the game or outside of the game or clubland. Like, a lot's changed, and I think it's all moving in, trending in the right direction. I know the game was filthy a couple pre-seasons ago. Obviously, there was a lot of headlines, a lot of negative publicity, which is true, right? And it's going to be a constant work in progress, like player behaviour. Like, it's young men, in the prime of their life. It's always
Testosterone, money, and time.
In a game that's competitive, where you're taught to never stop. You don't run this. No, you don't quit there. Keep going. You're hurt. No, you're not hurt. Keep going. Like, everything's keep going. Do more. So you just sort of programmed just to be 100 miles an hour the whole time. But that's always going to happen. But I feel like when I first started, it's trending in the right direction. Players are a lot smarter now. They know they know there's a lot of pitfalls that they can get in trouble with. And to be honest, you're always going to have issues here and there, but as a whole, as a general, I think it's trending in the right direction. Players,
I reckon too. Me and Normie talk about this a lot. Like, young kids now, like, we'd go off season later 6 weeks on the piss. Like, that doesn't happen, eh?
Like, young guys in our club, like the Blake Brayleys, like Teague Wiltons, they're all little professionals. Even Jaden Brayley before he left, they're little professionals, man. They're coming in. They know how to train. They know what's required straight away. These are 18, 19-year-old men who are they're professionals.
Is that good to see or sad to see?
Well, it's what it takes. It's what it takes with the amount of money that's coming into the game. It's what it takes, and you want to accept the money. You got to accept the responsibility that comes with it. Like
100,
and you're not going to be 100% right all the time, and there's always going to be issues. But I think since I first began, everything is trending to the better.
What about pre-seasons?
Pre-seasons are
too long?
Nah, they're way better now. They're way better than when we first began. So if you played X amount of seasons, you're entitled to an 8-week break. Even now, like the days we used to come in and then day one you'd have testing, day two you'd be ready to run 800s. Like them days are gone. Well, at the Sharks they're gone. Like,
you guys got a good dough over there, eh?
Yeah, it's all about, like, you need to work hard, right? There's no hiding from that. You need to do the work, but it's all smarter now. Like, once you've hit your targets, like the staff and the the performance staff, they all know what you need to do. They know, like, how many Ks you need in your legs, how much load you need, your weights you need to hit. So once you hit it, you're there. You hit it. There's no more, just burning you out, running you into the ground until you can't run. Like, I haven't had a pre-season week where I rock into training on, say, a Thursday and I just go, man, I don't want to be here. Like, that was all it was in the first part of my career. Now, you know, right, I'm going to work hard. Like, I know I've got some hard work, but it's not going to be stupid. And it's about longevity. Like, that's why we had Gowser play until he was 37. Chris Hyington played late in his career. Luke Lewis played late into his 30s. Like, they looked after them guys because they knew, you know, they didn't need to work them into the ground. They just need to get them right and then, you know, play the game.
I remember my first 3 full pre-seasons. We didn't touch the ball till January.
Oh, mate, we had some stupid ones early. Like,
Got 8 weeks of running.
Mate, just
Couldn't catch a fucking footy, but we were fit. That's weird. That's weird, isn't it?
Mate.
Do you feel like Cronulla are ahead of the curve in terms of, because you guys had that gun trainer,
yeah,
eh?
Andrew Gray.
Is he going to the West Tigers?
He's at the Tigers now. Andrew Gray's a genius, mate. Like, he's a genius. And he was all about, and he really cared about you as a player. Like, he goes, well, we don't need to kill you here now because we want to get the most out of your career. Like, he was really good. He cared about you as an individual and he just wanted to see the best out of you in your fitness and your health and everything. So he was good. And then pretty much he installed the system and we're running off basically the same system. Like, our new guy, Matty J, he's, you know, worked under Andrew for so long. So he's added his bit in, which he wanted to add. But now it's pretty much a very similar system. But, yeah, we've been really fortunate as players to have that staff with us because all they want to do is look after us and get us right to play the game.
What parts of the game would you change from, obviously with that CBA and that coming in? I don't know, you got to hit around all aspects of the game. What would you change about it moving forward?
Oh, that's a tough question. There's not a lot, but
Do you think the season's too long?
it's hard, like, because you want the money, right? So you need to play the game. So it's all about the TV deals. The more games you play, the more money they'll pay.
Advertising.
So you want the money. And the playing group wants the money, the game wants the money, and it's all about, you can't listen to that, like, we give you less product and want more money. It doesn't work like that. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a big timer change coming up because with this new CBA, the way media is going now with all the streaming services and the way people watch their sport, watch their TV now, it's not always on TV. It's not the traditional ways anymore. So it's an interesting time. I don't have all the answers. I haven't even really thought about it. I'm just in me zone.
Cronulla, Lily.
I'm just in my zone at the moment, just trying to look after my family and just work out what's the best way forward. But there's guys, the people who are in charge of the game at the moment on both sides, like the RLPA.
They're doing a good job, RLPA.
I think there's a lot more buy-in now with players. I sit on the board as a player and, you know, you go to the meetings. Remember when we first started, it used to be like, oh, well, are they really helping us?
It's fucking torture.
But there's a lot more buy-in now, a lot more players actively involved. There's a lot more communication between players from different clubs. So you can put that competitiveness and that rivalry away because we want to do the best for each other at the same time. So you can feel that now. But, yeah, over the next few years.
It's going to be an interesting time.
Big decisions.
Because there's a lot of money coming into the game. You just want to go to the right places, don't you?
Yeah, and there's a lot more ability for players to leverage, like you said, their own personal IP, you know, with their social stuff, with their ability to seek out other media organisations. There's a lot of ability to that. So,
do you reckon that'll help the game if the boys, say Wade Graham could benefit off other stuff outside the game? I feel like if you build up your personal brand, you don't want to fuck up your personal brand, and that limits mistakes.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Obviously, with the salary cap, there's always the rules around the salary cap, and that's
because Roosters will rule it because they've got all the big dogs. You know what I mean? Like in their corner.
To be fair, I've had conversations with guys at the NRL, and they actually encourage players to go out there and do the best by themselves. But I think they need to. Well, I've been pretty lucky because I've always just gone and asked questions myself. I've never been afraid to ask questions or find out stuff I don't know or like look for new challenges and But I don't think there's enough teaching for players to go, you can actually do this and you can actually do this and you can actually do this, or if you want, you don't have to do any of it, but this is what you're leaving out there. But I think that's going to be the growth as a player. Like as the game grows, the player's IQ needs to grow with it. Like you look at the American American athletes.
They're like businesses, eh? They treat themselves as a business.
Yeah, I think we are a little ways behind, but we're catching up. We're making, like, you just look at all the players now who are, leaving their managers and they're keen to look after themselves because they're starting to have that awareness, in the markets and what you can do, what you can't do. But the NRL, I've always found that they're stoked when a player wants to be proactive and wants to be transparent and wants to make the most and learn more about the game and have some valuable input. I've never had no roadblocks there. They've been good like that.
I feel like as players, probably about 5-10 years ago, we were sort of like, oh, fuck, let's just get mine. Let's play footy for my team, try and get a win. Let's get my money. And then it's almost that selfish mentality. But
Well, we were young back then too, but
Yeah.
when you're young, that's why I said that tunnel vision. You're so driven just to compete and just to win, and all you want is success. Like you want the premierships, you want to play the representative
yeah.
game. Like you just have tunnel vision, and like you see a guy, well, he's playing, well, you know, he's got what I want. I'm going to go and take it. That's the only way. He's not going to give it to you. You got to go take it. So it's hard in that nature where to take that breath and take it a step back and go, you know, the older guys can go, hey, listen, like just for the time being, let's try and get together here, get a collective and work for what's best for everyone. And then once we've solved that, well, we can go and kill each other on the weekend. Like,
yeah,
but I think the game's moving towards that.
it's way past that, I reckon.
And the RLPA is a big part of that, like the buy-in from the players and the leadership there. Everyone's got a lot more faith.
Like even like when me and Chico normally used to live together, I remember Joey and that saying like fuck, that's weird. Like guys from different teams like living together.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I could never do that, but I think it's gone way past that.
Yeah. Well, like social media and just the way
Just
everyone
makes the world
communicates
smaller,
now,
doesn't it? Yeah.
Everyone knows that. Like literally in the NRL, I know probably 2 or 3 players from each team. I know I've been around the game a long time, but no, 2 or 3, maybe more.
That you'd go have a beer.
Yeah, I could actually go, hey mate, how you been? How's the family going? What's news? Like have a proper conversation that I know. And I've only been at the 2 clubs. Like there's other guys who have been at 4, 5, 6 clubs who would know everyone.
Yeah,
It's just a small world, man.
Like I dare say, like I could probably talk to like 5 or 6 guys easily.
Yeah.
From every team.
Popular guy, man.
Yeah. All trying to get free shit. That's right, motherfuckers.
Last question's come through. We've got our super coach coming out this weekend as well. So, Wade, who would you pick first in super coach?
I don't really know how Supercoach
Yeah, I don't know how it
works all
works.
that much.
Stats wise. Like Gal was a mad player.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know like try assist and that works heaps well, and goal kickers are good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd try and pick a forward that could goal kick maybe.
Craig Fitzgibbon.
Yeah, that is.
Back in the day. Yeah, he's not in it.
I don't know.
I think Payne Haas got the highest
Yeah,
one
well,
last
He was
year.
up there, yeah. He's quite cheap. You got your Tedesco's is pretty expensive and whatnot.
Yeah, well.
So, but yeah, that's
Just quality. Payne is obviously head, mate. He's the biggest human ever and moves like he's nothing.
You play with him?
I played him in the test matches
Was it?
last year,
Yeah.
and I'd never had anything to do with him before last year. I didn't even get to play against him because when we played Broncos, I was still injured. And I was like watching him on TV, and I was like, these blokes can't tackle this guy. I was like, and then on TV, it's hard to do it justice. And then I was in this team, I was like, no wonder they can't tackle him. I'm not looking forward to tackling him for the next 5 years.
What's he like?
Good kid, man. Good
He's
kid,
a footy nerd, isn't he? Self-proclaimed.
Good brain on him. Good, like smart kid. Good kid. Just wants to be successful. Just he's hungry for that success. So
I reckon his engine's a joke, like fitness,
Yeah.
like pumping body and that, and fucking crazy.
It wouldn't surprise me, but just the way he moves for a big man, I was like in his own team, and I'm thinking, geez, I wouldn't want to tackle him.
Get early on the push so you can keep up with him, bro.
I'm glad he's, we'll have to play him this year, so I might have a rest that week.
we've filled all the memory cards. So,
Done? All right, brother.
Do we want to talk about intellectual property?
This guy's
still
talking-
working. So just talk
This
straight
guy's
into the
talking
lens.
shit. This guy's talking
I'll
shit.
ask the question to Ice, seeing as he's been asking me a question. Is it true or not that I was first a part of the idea about starting YKTR?
I mean, you might have been around on the pub when the conversation was happening. I can't remember. Too many blokes, bro. Too many blokes.
Remember a lot spending time at that house that Chico used to have. Yeah, I think there's photo evidence actually of one photo.
Oh, I've got there. Yeah, you're in the kitchen, bro. Yeah. Yeah.
I always get stuck in Chico, and I'll let you know now on air that if he's ever make it like big time, like overseas, millions of dollars, I'm coming for my piece.
Not far off there, bro. Yeah, bro, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate your time,
thanks,
my guy.
Thank you.
Welcome back anytime. We'll get some fucking footy stuff going during the year.
Where's your...
Yeah, I don't know. We'll get it going next one. Yeah, all right, bro. See you later.